Good morning, it is Tuesday, October 8th, and today we're talking about no, which is, again, the definition of negativity, right? It's the ultimate, it's so curt, just two letters, no. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to no is just that, we kind of live in a society where being negative is sort of frowned upon, and that makes sense, right? Even I myself advocate for staying away from, negative, negative, toxic, oh my goodness, I cannot speak this morning, negative, toxic people. But at the same time, even though we're encouraged to sort of be positive and all these things, and that's all great, sometimes that can lead to you just saying yes to everything. And you shouldn't say yes to everything. In fact, there are a lot of things that as a creator, I think you should say no to. And one of the first things that I would say that you should probably say no to would be overloading yourself or overcommitting. Neo, what's up, man? How you doing this morning? So, what I mean by that is, oftentimes when someone asks us to do something, whether it's, like picking up from the airport or, to engage in a collaboration or really anything, our first reaction is to say yes. And a lot of times that's totally fine, and it does make sense to say yes. But where it sort of gets dicey is if you just say yes all the time because you're terrified of saying no because of what the other person will think. And especially on YouTube, that can lead you to overcommit in a huge way, or basically engage collaborations that you don't have the margin for, which is kind of why I did the whole thing about margin the other day, talking about making sure that you had, some space to say yes to things when it makes sense. But ultimately, if you just say yes to every single opportunity that comes your way, you can absolutely overload yourself and put yourself closer to the brink of burnout, which is a terrible position to be in if you're somebody who wants to create quality content on a regular basis. So I think that's one of the first things that you should say no to, is overloading yourself or just saying yes to everything because you're kind of afraid to say no. And I think one of the chief fears, or one of the reasons that we say no is because, or the reason that we're afraid to say no is because, we assume that people are going to think the worst of us. They're going to think that, we don't like that person or we have some problem with them. And that's not always the case. And the truth is, the most understanding people in your life, if you're surrounding yourself with, positive, uplifting sort of people, they're going to understand that you can't say yes to every opportunity, and they're not going to hold that against you. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Hello, Mom. How are you? Dad, good morning. Oak City? No, Josh. Fair enough. And actually, that will factor into a point, Oak City. That is excellent. Caitlin, what's up? How are you this morning? So the next thing that I would say that you should say no to as a YouTuber are shortcuts. And this is a pretty universal thing. Anytime you have a scenario set up or some sort of a construct where it's like you're trying to get from A to B, which for a lot of YouTubers is to get from what they consider to be not success to some measure of success, whether that's 100,000 subscribers, full-time living, whatever it is, there's a temptation, there will always be a temptation to take shortcuts. And there will be no shortage of people that are peddling shortcuts, usually in the form of some, like overpriced seminar or a training. We kind of talked about some of these things before, where they see that there are people who are desperate for something or they want something really, really badly, but they don't necessarily want to put in all the work it takes to get there, and they're looking for some angle, right? Something's going to give them a competitive edge. And some of the temptations or some of the things that you see on YouTube are people who are trying to say, like, hey, if you pay us X amount of money, we'll give you X number of views. If you pay us X amount of money, then we'll give you this many subscribers, right? And that is not a good position to be in because, again, those things are violations of terms of service. But then you have stuff that's less insidious, but still not great. And that, again, would be like the gurus, the kind of people that prey on, creatives or people who are just trying to make it in, whatever they've committed themselves to, whether that's being on YouTube, whether that's blogging, anything that sort of has like a passive income sort of sheen to it on the web when it comes to creating something. You can bet there are going to be just like dozens and dozens of gurus out there who are going to try to sell you something to kind of fill that need or tell you that they alone have the answer that you need to kind of push you forward. Jay, what's up, man? Wish I could listen, but work. No worries, man. I totally understand. Hey, Oak City, hey, Oak. I'm out. I'll watch later. No worries, Jay. 8-Bit, what's up, man? How you doing this morning? So, I think shortcuts are, and this thing, I'm not saying there aren't smart things that you can do, or smart cuts, things that just make sense to sort of give you an edge, but anytime it starts to dip into, okay, I'm not really doing work, or I'm just looking for a way to game the system, a lot of time that's not a great path to take, and it's usually going to lead you to something that isn't worth the time and money that you would invest in trying to take the shortcut. Or if you do take it, most people are going to see right through it if they see that you're just sort of fronting, or you're using strategies that are, kind of shifty. Things like, clickbait would be a good example, or cloud chasing and things like that. Checkpoints, what's up, man? I'm here editing, so thank you for the company. Thank you for the company, Nathan. I appreciate it, man. Hope you're doing well this afternoon for you, not this morning. So that would be another one, is, not to, just jump at every shortcut. In fact, I would say most of them are completely not worth it. And it's totally okay to say no to those, and you probably should say no to them, because oftentimes they're there to benefit the person who's offering the shortcut and not to benefit you, the person who would take advantage of said shortcut. So the next thing that I would say that you can totally say no to safely, and it's something that Again, it's really just an offshoot of shortcuts in a way, really, but that would be bad one-sided opportunities. Now, I can think of two specific examples where I think this comes into play a lot for YouTubers. One would be when you've got people like Amazon sellers or people who are just constantly emailing you like, hey, review our product, but then they want you to buy it first, or, they're basically willing to inconvenience you and not value the amount of time that you have to put into reviewing that product, because, again, while it's nice to get free stuff, and that's kind of cool, and it can definitely be a draw for somebody who's just starting out on YouTube, and it, kind of feels like you're making it to that next step when people start offering you products to review on your channel. It's not always a great deal for you, and sometimes, like, and this, I'm not talking about sponsored content here, right? If somebody says, hey, will you do a video about this and we'll pay you X amount of money, great. That's on you as a creator to decide whether or not the amount they're offering is worth your time and then to act accordingly. What I'm talking about are people who are just like, hey, we give you this product and then you just do it for free. Like, if you love the product and you can vouch for it and it seems like a good deal, maybe yes. But if it's somebody who's just trying to leverage your audience, but they have no interest in who you are, they have no understanding of who your audience is, or if the product even makes sense for you to talk about on your channel, that's a very one-sided opportunity. They're essentially saying, yeah, we'll give you this free product, which really doesn't cost the manufacturer anything in most cases, or very, very little. And then in turn, you have to invest anywhere from 10 to 40 hours to come up with an idea, to film, to edit, to review the product, and do all this work. And at that point, you have to ask yourself, what is your time really worth? And if it's an obviously sort of one-sided opportunity where someone gets all the benefit and you're doing all the work and you're not really getting much benefit out of it, that's something you can safely say no to. I promise there will be other opportunities out there, and I think the reason that no is so scary in the scenarios, especially if you're somebody who's new to the platform, is you might think to yourself like, oh, if I don't take advantage and review this product, what if they never want to send me something again? Or what if they tell somebody else and then, I get blacklisted as a creator? Trust me, that's not going to happen. There will be an endless amount of opportunity for you. Opportunity is not something that's in short supply on the internet. That I can promise you. So if something seems one-sided, it probably is one-sided, and you can safely say no to that. Now, the other example that I could point to would be collaboration offers. Sometimes when people offer to collaborate with you, they don't care about you at all. They care about your audience. They care about getting their name out there more, and they'll come to you with some offer like, hey man, we should really work together. And, like I've said before, if there's someone you have no familiarity with, if you have no idea who this person is, that's really easy to say no to, in my opinion, because you don't know who you're getting into bed with, so to speak, right? So in that regard, I think that, if somebody offers you to collaborate with you, but they're basically saying, yeah, put me on your channel, and then you sort of do all the work, and then I'll just sort of, kind of enjoy the benefits of that, maybe not something to indulge. Neo says, I think saying no is fine, and you think also people are accepting that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, in a broader sense, I think saying no is a good thing, as long as it's not, it's not rooted in pure negativity or you just trying to be like egotistical or something like that. If there's a legitimate reason for you to say no, most people are cool enough to understand that you have some reason behind it. And if you take the time to explain and give context to no, it's not quite as intimidating, I think, as a lot of people make it out to be when they have to say no to something. Oak says, the more you do it, the faster you get. Gate City 3 had 14 minutes of footage. It was about 12 minutes edited. We knew what we wanted, knew what we were doing. Call that a shortcut all you want still. Well, and I'm not talking about like editing shortcuts and stuff like that. I'm more talking about like illicit shortcuts that, a lot of the time I think will be offered or provide some temptation to people who are just they're trying to get to some milestone they've defined for themselves, but they want to get there faster and they don't want to engage patience or anything. They just want to get to that result as quickly as possible, no matter what the means to get there are. Neo says, to be honest, what you class as a shortcut and also what you might do to get to the top. Are you asking me to make a distinction? Hey, what's up, Joseph? How you doing this morning? I did not see you come in. I will get in bed with you. Oh, Nathan. You stop it, you. I'm trying to be professional. Oak says, Josh, we should collaborate. I want to suckle your sweet, sweet submarine subscribers. I have zero problem collaborating with you because you're a delight, man. I have absolutely no issue with this. If I had no idea who you were, I would be like, probably not now. Maybe not a hard no, but maybe like, hey, let's talk a little bit, right? Neo says, I think it all depends on the individual in terms of like how hard it is to say no, you mean? Neo says, I don't see collaboration as just for the subs, never have, to be honest. If it happens, fine, but it's more just being able to work with that person. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're somebody who's cool to work with, like, I'll definitely entertain the idea of a collaboration. But, for me, there's got to be some value there in terms of, is there a benefit to both audiences, ideally, right? Or is there something that I'm able to create that's better because of something that you bring to the table, whether that's, on-camera delivery or better production equipment or writing or whatever it is. I think those are are all factors to consider when it comes to a legitimate collaboration, not just somebody dropping in on your channel one day and being like, hey, let's collaborate. I had somebody comment on a video just recently, and they were like, hey, this is a really great video. Hey, can you shout me out on your channel? I'm trying to grow. Like, I have no idea who you are, and I did, yeah, I at least went and looked at their channel because out of just pure curiosity, and they hadn't made a video in like 6 months, which I understand that you're trying to grow, but man, if you're gonna, try to grow, I mean, it's, start doing some of that work yourself, right? Like have something to offer or show people that you're offering to collaborate with that you're serious and committed to actually making content long term. So I'm certainly not going to collaborate with someone and say, hey, you should go subscribe to this person if they don't have anything to offer. That would be a complete waste. Let's see. Shortcuts, they're only clandestine side channels. They cost things like integrity and soul. Right. Things that I'm not big on giving away. Checkpoint says, just watching you is making me grow. What? Why are you like this? You know I try to keep it family friendly. You're killing me, Nathan. But it's also objectively hilarious. Killing me. So yeah, bad one-sided opportunities, and actually the whole collaboration thing kind of feeds into the next point. Something else you can say no to is the undiscerning support of other creators. This is something that I kind of touched on last week, and one of the things that I mean by that is a lot of people, it's almost like the sub for sub people have started to adapt a little bit, and they've started changing their tune to, hey, let's support each other, which is really just like a fancier dressed up way of saying sub for sub in a lot of cases. Like they'll drop in, and I know that Jaken had to deal with this recently on his channel, but someone was like, hey man, I supported you and subscribed. You should come see if you want to support me too. You can dress it up all you want, but it's that whole putting lipstick on a pig thing. Just saying that you're going to support somebody else or shout somebody else out when you have no idea who they are or what they're all about, I think that's something that warrants some discernment. And certainly just saying no to just diving in and just saying every new person who pops up on your channel, just be like, oh yeah, you should go support this person. Now, like if I'm in the middle of a stream and somebody pops in, I have no problem directing people to that person's channel if I know who they are. Like Checkpoints is objectively hilarious. I will send people to Checks all day long because I know he's fantastic. Same with like Oak or any of the other people in here who are regularly creating content. You're not an unknown quantity to me. Like I have some idea of who you are and the kind of content that you create. But if you're somebody who just randomly pops in and says, hey man, will you support me and give me a shout out? No. And this is the same, I mean, it's not limited to YouTube either. You see the same behavior on Twitter. I've seen people get bent out of shape because they followed me and then they got upset, or they would DM me and be like, hey, I followed you, how come you didn't follow me back? Like, if somebody wants you to support them, your support to them is a privilege, not a right. You're not just automatically required to throw somebody support or to do something else for somebody online. That's all on you. You have to be discerning enough to figure out, is this somebody that I want to associate with? Are they making content that makes sense for my audience? Because if you direct your audience to somebody who not only you have no idea who they are, but worse, if you find out that their content is completely not at all in alignment with their interests, that's basically betraying your audience. That's basically saying like, oh yeah, I vouch for this person, they're super rad, and then they go there and like it's a ghost town, there's no content on offer, or worse, it's content on offer that is completely not relevant to their interests. Not great. That's all I'm saying. It's just not great. Nia says, I've never really been numbers focused, but more people focused, and I think that's a good strategy. They say you grow a business one person at a time, and I think the same is true of YouTube, especially if you're treating it like a business, which I advocate in a lot of cases, depending on what your goals are. But yeah. Ooh la la, says Oak City Gamers. So you see what you've done here, Nathan? I like, for example, by the third or fourth stream I watched, I was like, yes, I wanted to work with Josh. The numbers never came into my head. And I appreciate that, man. I'm glad to hear that you have a very healthy perspective on the prospect of collaboration. And that's also why I have zero problem dropping in on your Star Wars stream, for example. I've gotten to know you a bit. Caitlin Jewel, I like you. Joseph, I can't tell if this is an inside joke, if you're being creepy and weird, but if it's the latter, please don't. Neo, I've never really been focused, but more people focused. Oh wait, no, I already saw that. I like the numbers when they reflect the actual numbers. I checked. You can get 10 people to sub in front of you and have 2 sub bump. Why YouTube has issues. You can't think about the numbers. Yeah, and that's, again, why I did a whole video exactly about that, because people are so obsessed with the numbers, and I get it. The numbers are constantly shoved into your face. Like, if it wasn't regular YouTube analytics, now they're doing the YouTube Studio beta, and it's so easy. They're just such a visual component to YouTube, not just because of the raw video format, but then it's so easy to look at other creators and be like, ooh, how come they have 1,000 more subs than me, or hey, how come he's getting more views on this video game review that he did, and I did the same thing and I didn't get as many views. And it's so easy to kind of get trapped in that mode of thinking, I think. Exactly. I watch you because I like what you do, period, and I appreciate that immensely, man. I'm going to try to keep making stuff you enjoy, to the best of my ability, anyways. I got to think about getting your name in a Fox's mouse? I have no idea what you're saying right now. Oak City Gamers put the name in your mouth. Terrible. I am friends with Joseph, though. I wish he would stop saying that in public chats. Well, if it becomes a problem, yeah, let me know. I mean, there are mods in here that can deal with that kind of thing. Oak City is pretty ruthless, so. And then the next thing that I would say, aside from just undiscerning support of other creators where you know, don't really look into money and you're just willing to offer support, you can say no to other people's thinking all day long. And that requires some context. So when I say no to other people's thinking, what I'm saying is there are people in your life, negative and positive, people that really don't care about you that much, or they don't really want you to succeed at what you're doing here on YouTube. And then you've got people who are outrageously supportive, and I think you should say no to both of them in a lot of cases. And what I mean by that is sometimes people will say, you know, hey, you know, I know that you're really into this YouTube thing, but I think you're spending too much time with it. Or, hey, maybe you need to pull back a little bit, or you're spending too much time on the internet. Or they're saying, you know, I see what you're doing with your content, but I think it would be better if you did this. And it makes sense to look at that advice through a very critical lens. Even advice that I would give out, right? If I tell you something, that's not universal. You know, it's on you to sort of take a look at your own channel, your own goals, your own aspirations, and figure out if what I'm saying makes sense. Or, you know, hit me up on Twitter, which, you know, if you're new here, I'll go ahead and drop that in here. You can DM me there if you want to talk privately and not in public forums, because I know not everyone's comfortable with that. But, you know, it's on you to also be discerning when it comes to the other advice that people will give you. And sometimes people will, you know, get in your head, not on purpose. They may even be trying to be helpful and offer you the best advice they know as a friend, might be a family member, it might be like your spouse. But sometimes they just don't understand your vision or what you're trying to get done. And, you know, you don't have to appease those people. I mean, it might be kind of rough if it's your wife or something. I mean, that might require some conversations. But ultimately, you know, you're not required to indulge every other person's piece of advice or what they think or how they feel about what you should be doing, how you spend your time, what you're doing on YouTube. And, you know, even though people, again, I think are well-meaning in a lot of cases, what they say doesn't always align with who you are, what you want, what you're trying to get done. And in that case, it's absolutely okay to say no to that person. And I'm going to censor this slightly. You can look up the actual Robert Downey Jr. quote, but here's the whole thing when somebody tries to give unsolicited advice, and it's something that's completely not in alignment with who you are, what you're trying to do, is to smile, nod, agree, and then do whatever you're going to do anyways. All that is to say, when you say no to something like that, that can be more of an internal no, right? You don't just have to scream no in somebody's face if they're trying to help you out. You know, you can very tastefully, you know, just kind of diffuse that situation and then continue to do whatever you planned on doing anyways. I'm not saying every piece of advice you get is inherently bad. What I'm saying is when something is in conflict with what you know to be right, when you know, like in your heart and everything, that the thing that you're doing is correct and that it feels right, and you know what you're doing like isn't hurting anybody, and you're making content that you enjoy, and you know it's not taking you to a negative place where you're completely isolated or something like that, or just cutting people out of your life, I guess. It's okay to say no to those things. You don't have to buy into what every single person tells you. And I would advocate that you don't buy into what everybody tells you, because not everything on the internet is true, despite popular belief. So he's okay, no worries. Wait, where am I at? Neo says, I mean, I think if people think like you, what does this bring to my channel? And more like, hey, I like you, let's team up, until you get to know channels must think I'm such a creep. Yeah, that can be off-putting too, like if you're somebody who just goes straight in for the collaborative offer. He recently bought me a copy of Bowser's Inside Story on 3DS. Oh, that's nice. I used to say to my friends that I won't stop just to prove that I don't just give up on things. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I've had people ask before, like a T-Belly brother stuff, they're like, do you really think that you're going to make it long term? Do you really think you can go full time on YouTube? My answer is yes, because I refuse to stop trying. And that's really my biggest advantage, I think. I mean, there are things that I like about myself and things that I think I do well on YouTube, but chief among them, the thing that I think is my primary strength is just I'm relentless, right? I'm very committed to creating content and trying to make stuff that's helpful to people, and that's what I love to do. And I think that long term, I think that's going to have some returns associated with it. But we'll see. 20 years from now, I might still be trying to make it work, and maybe growth on the channel just slows tremendously, and everything gets saturated, and I was wrong. But gotta try, right? It's not in me to withdraw. Again, thank you, A Knight's Tale. Joseph coming to Southeast Game Exchange next year. Oh, right on. I like poor Josh. When I first got this channel, I was like, oh wow, Josh, you're the best, and I think with watching these streams, I've learned to mellow out a little bit. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Bill Murray's position on this, Neo. You do your best work when you're relaxed. Am I always relaxed? Not by a long shot. I'm frequently, sleep deprived and over caffeinated, but I love what I do. I wake up excited, right? So it's not like I'm just like, oh, I have to go do another YouTube stream. I love doing this. It's super great. And hanging out with you guys is definitely something that chills me out and gets me ready for the day. Shaboinky Boink, hello. Scream no in their face like Michael does when Toby is trying to tell him what to do. God, I do love a good Office reference, but that would be an extreme version of no. But if you have to, maybe. I'm happy to see that Nintendo UK is celebrating this month as Month of Luigi. Oh, I didn't see that. I will check that out. OCG is a team. We shall always persist and exist. I like that mentality. I would be curious to hear your thoughts at some point, maybe on an interview on this channel, about team dynamics and what that's like. Because a lot of us lone wolf it, but you're part of a team, which uniquely positions you, Oak City. Meanwhile, Mario Kart Tour is continuing to alienate Luigi fans. They have update today with Tokyo Track and some new characters who are in different characters. Mario and Peach in different clothes. Yeah, I mean, maybe they could have offered something more substantive than just, some new clothing for Mario and Peach, although I'm sure they look adorable. Anita says, I have a lot of energy and passion and think people can be like, too much. Yeah, I mean, again, like, sometimes if you're high energy, high charisma, some people find that off-putting, right? I mean, even... I would even say society at large. Like, if you ever just try to strike up a conversation with a stranger, like, people get weirded out by that. When, a lot of the times I think people just sort of fail to connect with each other. That might be, like, a cultural thing, too, right? It might be something in the U.S. where in other countries it's not quite that bad. And then the final thing that I would say it's okay to say no to, and I think you should say no to this 100% of the time, is internal negative thinking and self-talk. No psychologist or anything like that, but I do know that there are times when I will say the most horrible things to myself internally, about, whether it's my progress on YouTube, who I am as a person, just the mistakes that I've made. Like, it's so easy to get stuck in your own inner monologue, and that can just suck the energy right out of you really, really quickly. So while, yes, I think it's a good idea to say no to other people's opinions on what you do, and their advice, especially if it's unsolicited and not in line with what you want to get done, that becomes even more dangerous when it's internal. And the thing is, it's not even technically your fault, right? And I can't remember the exact science behind why your brain does this, but you should. There is a book by Chris Hardwick called The Nerdist Way, which I highly recommend you check out. It's an amazing motivational book if you're of the nerd persuasion, I would say. But essentially, the way he explains it is you got these lizard almonds in your brain, right, which are basically an evolutionary holdover from a time when, you had to, fight or flight responses, right? You either had to fight something that, a predator that presented a clear threat, or either take off and run to get to safety. And that part of your brain is still there, and it activates whenever you do something that's scary or uncomfortable. And one of the ways that it can do that is by giving you a ton of negative self-talk and feedback internally with your monologue. So if you're like, ooh, I want to make videos this week, and then you tell yourself, yeah, but you kind of suck at making videos and nobody's going to watch, and is it really worth the effort when there's a new season of Umbrella Academy on Netflix? Those are the kind of things where your brain wants the best for you. It truly does, and it thinks it's helping you, but in reality, it's just making you stagnant and inert because it's bombarding you with fears that will probably never come to fruition, or falsely imagined anxieties, or things that are really just designed that it thinks to protect you and keep you in a position of comfort, but ultimately it hurts you because long term you're not meant to be comfortable. You're meant to achieve things and do wonderful things with your channel, and it's hard to do that stuff if you're constantly down on yourself, and just saying horrible things on the inside that you would never say to your best friend. So why should you say them to yourself? So if you catch yourself falling into the pattern of negative thinking, find some way to get out of it. Like, go clear your head a little bit. Try saying some positive, reaffirming things to yourself. There's a lot to be said for positive self-talk, or just do some research about how to stop negative self-talk. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I can't really offer you hardcore emotional advice because I can only talk about my own experiences and what works for me. But I do know that if external negative toxic forces can impact you and kind of make you feel bad, doing it from the inside is way more damaging because there's no other voice to offer a counterpoint in there unless you consciously make the effort to do so. And if you just let your emotions run on autopilot on the inside, you can absolutely just drive yourself right into a horrible funk and then not create things for weeks or months or even years on end. And I think that's a horrible tragedy because I think everybody has a good story to tell, and I think anybody who is on YouTube probably has something amazing that they want to put out there, and even if it kind of sucks, even by your own rigid standards, I think you should still create it anyways. where am I at here? Luigi should be in the game already and getting different clothes as well. I would be inclined to agree. His omission, is kind of a letdown. Shaboink says you need to find common ground to carry on a conversation. Oh, you mean like with strangers? I would agree. It's kind of hard to go in cold if you know nothing about somebody. But there are basic openers, right? The weather's nice. How about that local sports team? You've got openers. And if you're it could be, based on a place too, right? If you're standing in line at a midnight launch for the new Marvel movie and there's 100 people there, you can be pretty sure most of them are there to see a Marvel movie, so you could probably go right into a Marvel conversation without worrying about much. Beck, hello. It's okay, I was slightly late today as well, Beck. No worries. On that note, I have to go to work. Peace out, y'all. That goes positively reptilian, Josh. Did I see a video glitch there? Possibly. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but Oak, thank you for stopping by. Always appreciate it, man. You have a good one. Neo says, I think I'm trying to balance it. I am trying to balance it with go for it and bet on myself, and then to, okay, Neo, you need to chill out. You're freaking out. People in your streams have help with that 50-50. Yeah, I mean, it is a balance, right? I mean, you can be super excited and charismatic, but temper it a little bit so you don't, spook the herd, so to speak, or freak people out. I don't think there's anything wrong with being overly positive or charismatic or energetic or outgoing, but I know that some people are not wired to be receptive to that, right? If you're extremely extroverted and you just go straight into a conversation with somebody who's extremely introverted, they'll probably freak them out a little bit. So it's also important, I think, to be sensitive about your outgoing nature if you're somebody who has that ability. 8-bit glitches. I have issues with negative thinking or self-destructive thinking. Like when people say I did a great job on something, I tell myself that they are just being nice, or think people are saying things about me, or thinking people are saying things about me that really are, you mean like they're not true? I have the same problem. Mine was actually rooted in a diagnosis of imposter syndrome when I talked to a therapist when I was in college, mostly when I first moved up here to Columbus. Imposter syndrome being like you never really think you're good enough, or you think that all of the success you enjoy you just sort of lucked into, and it was not at all rooted in your own abilities or skill or anything like that. So no matter what you achieve, and no matter how many nice things people say about you, you always take it with a grain of salt, or you think, to your point, that they're just flat out lying or they're being disingenuous, because those things could never be true, because you're just this big dumb loser. At least that's what I'm saying inside. You're not a big dumb loser. But and I think that sort of criticality is natural, and I think it's especially true if you've had some rough experiences in the past. I've had some rough experiences in the past. I've lost friends before. I've had relationships that didn't work out, and that stuff I think sort of compounds on you and can really affect your self-worth or how you value yourself. And in turn, I think you sort of craft this narrative of like, if this is how I feel about myself and this is what I see, then certainly this is what everybody else sees. But that's not true. And if you really break it down logically, in a lot of cases when somebody says something nice, sure, some people are going to have ulterior motives, but I don't like to live as a skeptic, right? Or as a cynic, I guess I should say. I have to believe that a lot of the people in my life who would say nice things to me are being genuine. And one of the things I have to constantly remind myself of a bit is that, the way I see me is not the way other people see me. Right now, like when you go to sleep at night, everybody you interact with or everybody who knows who you are, they see, if you know 100 people, those people know 100 different versions of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there's really not a whole lot of point in overthinking it, because for instance, like what everybody in this chat thinks of me right now is none of my business. Now, as a creator, of course, it's my business in terms of like, it's my job to put out valuable content and create an atmosphere that's warm and welcoming and provides people encouragement, information, and inspiration, because that's kind of what I do with my channel. But ultimately, I can't sweat, like if Beck decides like, oh, Josh is just the total douchebag today, I can't do anything to change her mind about that. There's really not a lot that I can do you can't just force somebody to think a certain way about you. I mean, all you can do is put your best face forward, and even then some people are going to misinterpret who you are and what you have to offer, or they're going to have their own thoughts because they're looking at you the same way. They're going to think that if you say something nice to them, maybe you're just saying it because you don't truly believe it, or you're just being nice. And I'm betting a lot of the time when you say nice things to people 8-bit, that's not the case at all. So I would try not to get too wrapped up in it, because the truth is, most people are way more concerned about themselves than worrying about you. Like, someone might say something nice to you, and like seconds after it leaves their mouths, they're already internally, they're thinking about things like, oh man, I gotta pay bills today, I gotta go pick up my kid from soccer practice. Like, people are very wrapped up in themselves, and I'm not saying that as a negative, I'm just saying that's human nature, right? Like, we do care about other people, especially the ones that are close to us, but generally speaking, we just don't have enough emotional bandwidth to care about every single person and worry about their problems 24 hours a day. Like, for instance, like, there was a pastor once who gave a great message about anxiety and worry, and one of the things he said was, he was like, when I go home at night, I don't worry about the grades your kids are getting in school, right? Of course, you would want nice things for, somebody else's kids. You want them to do well in school, but you're not going to be like, freaking out about it 24 hours a day because it's just not close enough to you. Neo says, I know with doing that and actually getting yes was like, okay, maybe I can push the boat out a little bit. Yeah, it's baby steps, man. Like, take the tiny victories, Neo. Who was that person in your stream last night behind you? What? Don't say freaky stuff like that in the middle of Spooktober. That freaks me out, chicks. Shamoik Boink says, there's a great book about conquering your fears and overcoming adversity, overall odds to accomplish your goal. Tom's the tank engine. I think I can. I think I can. Simple, wonderful advice. Childlike in its execution. I like that. 8-Bit Glitch says, yes! Although, since I didn't shut up, I don't know what you were saying yes to. I'm so sorry, 8-Bit. I apologize that I've been overly negative on Mario Kart 2. I just can't get over the fact that... No, it's fine. I mean, it's fine to have opinions on, your favorite character, Galen. Especially when including minor versions of... Yeah, I mean, it does seem like an oversight. Like, why they would jump to that instead of Luigi first. Imposter Syndrome, that sounds like me. Yeah, and that's... And, again, don't self-diagnose on the internet. Like, if you think you have a legitimate problem, please talk to a professional, but there's nothing wrong with that. I have done it, and it was a wonderful experience that gave me some fantastic coping mechanisms for my particular flavor of anxiety. They can do the same thing for you. See, people think I'm outgoing and talky person, but really not, actually. But when it comes to my channel, it's like a switch is flipped. Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, I can be really outgoing and chatty, clearly chatty on this channel. And even in real life, I can go out and be incredibly sociable, but I'm kind of a combo of extrovert and introvert. Like, on the surface, you would think like, oh yeah, he's very outgoing, he's a very social, very affable person, and I think those things are true, but like, once I get through probably 6 to 8 straight hours of it, or 12, or sometimes more, I need to recharge. And for me, that's like watching Lord of the Rings marathon, just sitting at home, reading, playing games. Like, I definitely have a recharge period. Like, I can't do this and be on, so to speak, 24 hours a day. I just don't have the energy for it. Dragon Gamer says, just came to say hello. Hello, Dragon. By not being a douchebag, that should work. Well, I mean, I try not to be, but ultimately someone's going to think that about me, and there's nothing I can do about it. So you accept it and move on, because there's a lot of humans out there, right? If somebody hates who I am, I got about 6.99999 billion other chances to connect with somebody. I'll take those odds. Yes, Josh the douchebag. I kid, you're actually not. Thank you. I mean, I wouldn't think... I would be very surprised if he thought that about me, because we talk a lot, but... yeah, it was an off-the-cuff example. I'm sorry. Linda, hello. I will show you later what I saw. There was nobody here. Check. No, if you try to get me with some jump scare video, I'm not going to be very happy, Nathan. I'll be a little happy. But not a lot. I also don't like Mario Kart Tour. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Cynthia, hello. I'm having trouble waking up. I'm sorry. Did you get a cup of coffee or some tea or something? For me, usually the thing that wakes me up the most in the mornings is a shot of caffeine and then just a hot shower, because, whenever it's cold, when you get out of the shower and everything, that wakes me up really, really quickly. I was also late. Woot. No worries. It's always going to be up on the channel as a recap video if anybody wants to come check it out later. Linda the gamer girl, Linda! It kind of reminds me of the codec from Metal Gear Solid, but you say it like that. I'm just like, let me stay in and record. Yeah, I can get that. Like, that's one of the things I love about making pre-produced videos. I can make content for 12 hours straight. I don't really have to talk to anybody. I can just do my own thing. I can screw up as much as I want. I can make whatever I want. And that's a good feeling. There's less pressure, I think, than the live format. All hail the Cynthia, our all-knowing and all-powerful overlord goddess. Yep, that's Cynthia, because we are all Cynthia. Or Sushi. Linda, did you get your monitor issues worked out? Were you having some issues, Linda? Really, the Cynthia thing is back. It never left, Neo. I'm sure Sushi will explain it to you at length at some point, if she decides. I believe a skeleton hand creeping out behind the curtain would be a great decoration addition to your house. So I don't have it up here. I didn't put it up yet, but I did get spider webs to hang up. Like, I have like a couple like little cute decorations back here, right? Like the happy ghost is actually, he's over there. But I got the cat and the little jack-o'-lantern here. I like happy looking Halloween decorations, right? The gory, really scary stuff is okay, and it's fun. Like, if I go over to my buddy Ben's house, like, he has it everywhere. That dude has so many Halloween decorations. But I'm just more predisposed to the cute ones, right? And that's the thing. I think it's because I had so many great Halloweens growing up, because I have so many vivid memories of dressing up as a kid, going out to get, go trick-or-treating with my dad or my mom or whatever, and then coming back and sorting through a mountain of candy, and then watching The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror every year. It was so fun. So in turn, when it comes to the movies I like to watch during Halloween, yeah, I watch some legit horror stuff, and I really enjoy it. I mean, it's, I have no problem watching things like The Shining, for example. But I also like, just more adorable juvenile stuff, like, things like Peanuts, right? Stuff that's a little more kid-friendly, I guess. Or Goosebumps. I love Jack Black. Or to some degree, I would even say Cabin in the Woods. Yes, Cabin in the Woods had a fair amount of blood and gore, but at the same time, it was also a lot of comedy. So I wouldn't put Cabin in the Woods necessarily in the same realm as Goosebumps, but I would say like Evil Dead 2, right? Of course, there's horror and suspense and scary stuff. There's also a lot of amazing comedy, courtesy of a national treasure, Bruce Campbell. If you've never seen Evil Dead 2, you owe it to yourself. And then watch Army of Darkness, and then watch Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and let us all lament together the cancellation of that amazing show. Checkpoint says, no, seriously, I'm not joking. Nathan, come on. I know it's Halloween, but this is too much. But I'll look for your screenshot, if that's the case. We are all Cynthia's now, just accept that, no need to question it, right? See? Sushi's getting into the spirit. I will question all of... Stop. No, stop it, Josh. Stop encouraging this. I will question all of this. You can question it, but ultimately, Cynthia's rule is law. Joseph says, I love The Simpsons. I used to love The Simpsons. I think it kind of fell off, but I used to just watch it like crazy when I was a kid. I was a huge fan. I also love Peanuts. Peanuts is hard not to love this time of year, Joseph. It's just, it's so adorably innocent, right? The Great Pumpkin. I mainly like to watch kid-friendly stuff as opposed to adult stuff. Yeah, it just depends on the mood I'm in. Like, I'll tell you what was a nice sort of combo, though, was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It wasn't the best horror movie I've ever seen or anything, but it was really neat to see how they brought to life the monsters from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark that I read when I was a kid, and to kind of see those reflected in some of the most iconic stories from those pages sort of leap onto the screen. That was really fun. And honestly, some really well done suspense and unsettling moments in that movie. I was really surprised they were able to pull that off with a PG-13, but man, they totally did. But for me, a lot of the joy came from, again, just how they were able to construct and portray these creatures and monsters, these terrifying things that you would read within the pages. Which, the stories aside, being great, the illustrations in those books were tremendous. If you've never checked out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, you should check it out. Bruce is amazing. Met him at one of his talks and books, as did I. Actually did a vlog back when I still did vlogs on this channel, 150 of which have been unpublished and you'll never see them again. But one of them was me meeting Bruce Campbell, and he signed what was his first book? Confessions, what was it? Oh my god, how can I... It was Confessions of a B-movie actor, something about his chin, and now I can't remember the name of it. But that book is amazing, and if you get the audio version from Audible, which I also got, he narrates the whole thing, which makes it all the more interesting, because it's not just like, some random narrator reading the stories that were in Bruce's head from his childhood growing up in, like, I think it was Flint, Michigan is where he grew up, I want to say. Was it Flint? My dad's from Flint. Bruce may not have been from Flint, but he was from Michigan anyways. And basically hearing him retell things like, playing with his brother in the backyard, and playing Army Men and things like that, and how essentially when he got to a point in his life where he got to the crossroads where he had to decide what he was going to do with the rest of his life, his only real motivator was the pursuit of what he calls the endless summer, right? He wanted to basically pursue a career where he would get to continue to have fun and goof off and be ridiculous forever, so he decided he was going to be an actor. And the dude just went for it, and now he's one of the most iconic actors of all time, in my personal opinion. Certainly a B-movie actor, but he's completely self-aware and knows this, and that doesn't diminish Bruce Campbell at all in my eyes. I think he's tremendous. Good morning, Josh Johnson. How are you? I appreciate the enthusiasm. Shabunky Boy says, I miss the movie Under Wraps by Disney. It's how I discovered the song All By Myself. I haven't seen that. I'm curious, though. Ebit says, if chins could kill, thank you, Confessions of a B-movie actor. Yes, I couldn't remember the first part, but yes, it's amazing. If you have Audible, if you only ever get one book and you're somebody who's just want to be completely fascinated by the tales of a B-movie actor and his rise to success in acting and some of the trials and troubles and tribulations he had to go through to get there, and some hilarious stories about him growing up, running around with like Sam Raimi, the director, you should listen to or read that book. It would not be a waste of your time. That's the one you got signed also? Nice, 8-bit. I'm going to Rhode Island Comic Con in a few weeks, and I'll be meeting Carol Spinney, who performed Big Bird and Oscar for over 50 years at his last ever convention. That's cool. One of my... I don't have a ton of regrets, but one that I do have is that there was a convention I was at, and Stan Lee was there, and I could have paid, like, I think it was like $150 or $200 for a meet and greet, and I didn't do it, which... In retrospect, I really wish I had. One of my favorite Stan Lee stories, though, I did have a connection with Stan Lee, but I was in the 5th grade in English class. And basically we were given an assignment where you had to write a letter to a celebrity. And it was the 90s, so everybody was like, ooh, I'm going to write a letter to Michael Jordan, or I'm going to write a letter to Michael Jackson. And my whole thing was, I'm writing a letter to Stan the Man Lee, and we'll see if I get a response. And God love him, he did. He did respond with a letter and 2 comic books that had not yet gone to print. One was an X-Men, I want to say Omega. It was like a foil wraparound cover, because you remember like foil and holographic covers for comics were like huge in the 90s, and they were everywhere. But he sent 2 comics and just like a nice like thank you letter saying, hey, I'm glad that you like the comics and all that. And then he signed it Stan Lee, and I don't know where it is. It's somewhere at my parents' house, and I need to frame that thing and hang it up at some point. But that was amazing. I like, because most of those kids they wrote super celebrities that were never going to respond, but Stan Lee actually sent something, which I thought was tremendous. Granted, it was probably like drawn up by his secretary or whatever, I would guess, and he probably just signed it. But still, to get something back as a kid from Stan Lee when you're a Marvel Comics fan, and I used to read the comics every Saturday with my dad. We would go to this little comic shop downtown every Saturday and get Burger King breakfast. That was like the thing I was most excited for every week when I was like 8 or 9 years old. That was tremendous. I wanted to be an actor. I did it in college. I've done a little bit. I was in like 1 or 2 plays in high school, but I did not. I don't know if I would be a good actor overall. I just like being charismatic and dramatic just for the fun of it. I think it's more interesting. It's a movie about a friendly mummy. I was about to say, like, Under Wraps sounds like it would be about a mummy. Josh, get on with the Audible sponsorship. If Audible wants to sponsor me, I'd be happy to do it. I think it's an amazing service. Linda says, I still have to get a new monitor, 8-bit glitch. What happened to your monitor, Linda? Please check your Twitter. I sent you a screenshot. If you freak me out on stream, I'm not going to be very happy. Oh, that's not okay. You're talking about that. That's just the pumpkin. That was unsettling. Ugh. That was, I didn't even do that on purpose, but the way the light shined through it, yeah, that is a little spooky. Yeah, it's that guy. You're the worst, Nathan. You get me freaked out. I felt like I was stepping into a horror movie, right? But one of the bad modern ones that talks about, like, the terror of social media and, some ghost, coming through the wires or something. You could have met Stan Lee and you didn't. Yep. I wish I had. Sesame Street is now on HBO. Rest in peace, free child-friendly television. Yeah, that's kind of depressing. But at least it lives on somewhere, right? I remember Stan Lee cameoed on an episode of Muppet Babies. Really? I would like to check that out, Joseph. I didn't know he was on that show. The best is My Name is Bruce movie. Best self-aware poke fun at the fact that he knows he's a B-movie actor. I haven't seen it. I saw, what was it, Bubba Hotep, and I've seen Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Ash vs. Evil Dead. I have not, what was it, Briscoe County? I haven't watched that yet. I would like to. I need more Bruce Campbell in my life. And I don't think Spider-Man counts. You need that letter and frame that thing with Pride, Josh? I really do. If I can track it down, I'll absolutely do that. Only for a few seconds from it. Still, that's pretty sweet to know that he would make a cameo like that, Joseph. The other side of me? What do you mean, the other side of me? Okay, that's not funny, okay? Solid Photoshop work. I don't like it. I'm not doing any more spooky streams because that's terrifying. Good on you to be able to freak me out from across the pond. If you guys want to see what Checkpoints is talking about, you can go check out his Twitter. If you want to post it, Nathan, and you really want to run with this and treat it like it's real, then you put it on your own Twitter, okay? You do that, and then you link people here to your Twitter, and that's fine. That's super photoshopped. Super photoshopped. I just went from we can't be friends to oh my god, you have this letter from Stan Lee, okay, we're friends again. That's what it takes to be friends with me? Like if I have a good connection to Stan Lee or a letter? That's terrible. It's kind of a ghost episode. I'm not liking at all what Nathan just did. That kind of stuff freaks me out, and he knows like creepy stuff, especially stuff near windows and everything. That's one of my biggest fears. It's something that unnerves me. I don't like it. Shank says, "I'm not messing with you. Seriously, I was confused." Nathan, wait, is that a GIF? It better not be a GIF. I hate all of this. Because I honestly, if you did Photoshop it, I honestly don't know what that is. Literal goosebumps right now. Unsettling. Yeah, and there's no way this house is haunted, okay? When I got this place, it was just built, right? There's no creepy backstory, right? There wasn't like some homicidal maniac that, you know, did his thing in here or something. Guys, can we not break Josh? It's not gonna break me, are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but if you turn down meeting of the man, it wasn't that I turned it down so much, it was just one of those things I was like, oh, I'll catch it next year, we were in a hurry. Did you see the PS5 controller news this morning? No, Austin, let me check that out real quick. Now I'm very curious. Ooh. Is that real? This is a leak, though. I'm taking this with a grain of salt. Not to mention, I feel like a touchscreen where the touchpad was? I mean, sure, it looks cool, but realistically, how often would you really look at it? Would it... I don't know about this. Plus, I mean, the DualShock already has incredible problems with battery life. I feel like adding that level of detail to it would just be a horrible misstep. If they do it, I'm sure it'll look cool, but I'm skeptical, Austin. Haunted house. No, my house is not haunted. I'm gonna go to a bunch of haunted houses this October. I'm already mapping them out. But yeah, that picture, there's not. That's Nathan photoshopping something creepy over here. It's a small shadowy figure with a ghost-like face, and I know that Nathan photoshopped it. He's trying to freak me out, and he's doing a good job because it's unsettling. Did you put it on Twitter? Go ahead and drop a link to your Twitter, man. Go for it. You can let other people weigh in and see if they think it's real. But I know what you did, Nathan. You can't rattle me, okay? Not from over there in the UK, right? Am I saying that right? It's gotta be the UK. Your place could have been built on a Native American burial. It wasn't built on a Native American burial ground, okay? It's not The Shining. PlayStation actually made an announcement. Go look that one up. Sony announces PS5. Let's see what Google says. News. Sony confirms PlayStation 5 name holiday 2020 release 26 minutes ago. It is indeed called the PlayStation 5. It's going to be out Christmas 2020, along with a new haptic feedback tech that replaces rumble in controllers. It says developing. Company also noted changes will be making to the controller. Chief among those would be replacing the current rumble technology that Sony has been using since the original PlayStation for a new haptic feedback technology that it promises will offer a broader range of feedback. The other big change that Sony is talking about today is the technology it's calling adaptive triggers, which will go in the primary R2 and L2 triggers on the PS5's controller. According to Sony, developers will be able to program the resistance of the triggers. Interesting. Giving the example, you'll be able to feel the draw of a bow or when you're driving through rough terrain. It sounds pretty similar to a Microsoft patent from earlier this year, which detailed a similar trigger system for a future Xbox controller, although it's unclear if Microsoft will be planning on incorporating it with its next-gen Project Scarlet hardware. Okay, that all does sound plausible. I just looked up and saw like a touchscreen on a bunch of leaked controller. I thought that's what you meant, but no, those do sound nice. Although it also sounds like additional failure points within a controller. And controller reliability has been kind of an issue, specifically within the Switch realm over the past couple of, well, I don't know, what, past year between drift and other problems. I had to return my Switch Lite. I have some ghost hunting equipment. Nope, not interested in that. I mean, if you love it, great. I'm not going to go hunting ghosts, okay? So haunted land instead of haunted house. No, it's not haunted land, Beck. Stop perpetuating this. Nathan is a horrible international troll, and that's all that's happening right now. That picture is not real. I will now go to... He did a side-by-side comparison. There are not... That's completely impossible. Nathan, you devious troll. I don't like any of this, and now I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream effectively tonight because everything just seems very spooky. Sumps 101, how are you? Lurk away, my friend. Maybe the people who sold you the house didn't know it was haunted. No, it was. When I bought this place, it was brand new. It was just built. There was no previous owner. I am the owner. If anything, I would have... Nope, I'm not going down that line of thinking. I guess in November 12, 2020, they always release it on Wednesday or Thursday in the first 2 weeks of November. That sounds about right, so time to start saving. I'm guessing it's going to be 500. My prediction for the PS5 is it will launch at 500 with options to go up to 6. Maybe. But I think they will wait and see what Microsoft does and see what they launch at, and I think they'll just run the same strategy again. I think they will push Microsoft to make their announcement first and then determine their pricing after the fact to get a marketplace advantage. I would have worked for them with the PS4. Getting ready for work while you're talking is a good way to start the day. Linda, thank you for spending your time getting ready for work today here. You could have been on any stream. You could have been hanging out anywhere. But you chose to be here with Nathan and his horrible ghost trolling. Thank you. Shemagwig says, like I was saying, if somebody died while building the house, it might be plausible. That didn't happen. I would have read about it. Or they would have had to have disclosed that to me, I think. I don't know a lot about the laws surrounding home ownership and purchasing. I'm in the spooky month mood, clearly, Nathan. Josh, you do realize that not all spirits are linked to one place, right? Okay, you're not a ghost expert, Neo. Okay, if I need information on Star Wars or DBZ, then I will talk to you. If I need to talk to somebody about the supernatural, well, it's not going to be you or Chex, I'll tell you that. Bank is just putting ghosts in the chat now. Maybe you're the ghost haunting the house? Now that would be a Shyamalanian twist. I could appreciate that, but I don't think ghosts can typically stream out to the internet very effectively. They just have, issues with the whole, not being corporeal and whatnot. Did you have an imaginary friend growing up? No. No. I don't think so. Probably. Some spirits can be linked to one of the many retro games or consoles that you purchased or used as well. Okay, that is going down a very, the Conjuring / Annabelle-ish type road? I'm not buying into that, okay? I just don't think they travel well. If you have any ghosts, Luigi will be there to get rid of them. Thank you, Caitlin. You light in the darkness, you. No, seriously, dude, not all spirits are linked to one place. I used to a lot of it when I was younger. Oh, this chat's getting very real. Can't we just save it for an evening chat to freak me out in the middle of the day? It's not going to be that bad. No ghost could be in my house because it's pretty well protected by Luigi. That I don't doubt, Caleb. I got a green screen to make things way worse than just Photoshop. I'm curious. Stop sending me creepy pictures. Although, I will say, if I was going to buy it for somebody today, it would be Checkpoints. If you don't follow him on Twitter, or indeed on YouTube, you should. He is a delight. But, right now, I have to go and get ready for work. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to hang out here, except for you Checkpoints, trying to visibly rattle me before I get my workday started. I don't appreciate it, but kinda. It is Spooktober. But yeah, I hope you guys have a tremendous day. I'm gonna go ahead and drop off right now. Thanks for hanging out, and then I will be streaming either later tonight or tomorrow night. Not doing the multiplayer stream this week because I am on call for the day job, and I don't want a multiplayer session to get interrupted by work. But I will probably do some more Ghostbusters tomorrow night, would be my guess. So, again, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it, and I will